Went out one night to make a little round. I met little Sadie and I shot her down. Went back home, jumped into bed, 44 pistol under my head. I woke up in the morning about 9:30.
Alright guys, let's give it up for Naughty Dog for this amazing reveal at E3, this actual gameplay with a trailer. So there's a fine line between actual gameplay and gameplay presentation footage. So we'll get into that a little later. The theme I want to give to this video is fluidity. You're going to see a lot of just fluid movements, a lot of fluid animation, and a lot of fluid storytelling, and I think that's what Naughty Dog shines at. We'll go over that a little bit more later on. This song is pretty good too. It's by Cricket Still. It's called Little Sadie. I never finished the first Last of Us. There's a remastered version out. It's streaming on the PlayStation service if you only use PC or if you have an Xbox, but this is limited to a 720p resolution only. The animation is really wonderful so far, and the acting is really top-notch, which is expected from this franchise. The dialogue doesn't feel forced and it feels very fluid. You can see the mapping has a lot of attention to detail when it comes to movement, and the animation of each person really brings them to life. The only thing about trailers for events like E3 is that you might not have the same experiences while playing the actual game. Unfortunately, events like E3 can be riddled with companies who have different definitions for actual gameplay. So we have to question sometimes if it's actual gameplay or a presentation of that gameplay. Can this be real gameplay or gameplay that was put on rails, like a linear path that it takes you on so the story can unfold in front of you? There's a few key things that happen that can expose if this is a possibility in this trailer, unless Naughty Dog has created something organic to how each decision affects the environment around you. The contrast of good times and harsh times is always a quick way but very detailed way to open up a story. It's creative. Fear of the Walking Dead has been doing this for its season 4, and it works for me. It's like the balance of yin and yang. You can't truly appreciate the good without knowing the bad. The harder the times, the more marrow of good you can suck out of life. Oh, that poor guy did not stand a chance. The transition from cutscenes to actual gameplay is very fluid. You can tell when it becomes gameplay with this minimal health bar on the bottom right. The atmosphere and the lighting in this game is spectacular so far. You can even see the lens effect as it hits the screen. What I noticed was each movement here has some fluidity to it, from cutscene to gameplay too as well. This wouldn't be The Last of Us if we didn't jump right into some gruesome and gritty moments. This is one of the key components that we loved about the first Last of Us. When it's visceral, like this, you can feel the cut of the knife. Every round that is fired, every impact, every life that is taken or lost means something. It makes the consequences real. When it's this real, it alters your decisions that you make on the fly. You're not just hacking away mindlessly at a horde or shooting down people with infinite respawning. From here you can see Ellie approach an area up the creek. But why did she go this direction? Nothing on a map indicates that she should be prompted in this area, but you do see a glow from what looks like a campfire with the Bent Street sign and a rope hanging off of it, so the curiosity might lead you in that direction. So I can understand approaching this area should trigger a response. Such a long way when it comes to lighting effects for an environment, but I feel like games and developers haven't quite dialed it in when it comes to smoke. Here it doesn't seem to stand out and it really fits with the environment nicely, so I give props to the smoke department. The way that Ellie moves through like the leaves are really fluid. I mean, the scenes are seamless and it's like she stumbled upon a cutscene instead of went into a loading cutscene. The true test is to see if you can move away while the moment was unfolding, if you had the option to not engage in that scene after it was triggered. The texture of water on different objects really lets you know the material of each object. The AI in this game seems very responsive. Right now, they could have been placed here for trailer purposes, but who knows. They seem like they are entirely aware of their environment. Instead of being programmed to react to certain environments, this would be a huge step if each AI moves and plays as if they're a real person in the universe of this game and not just another no personality doll that is waiting to be triggered by the player. I want to give a nod to the slight movements of Ely in the game. In most games, if you lean against an object, your character does not move unless you move them. I think it started with blinking in some games, then it started to do like a weapons check. But you can see Ely here as she moves her arms slowly as she's pressed up against the car. She moves her head slightly as if she were trying to listen in, like she's actually paying attention to the slight sounds that her potential victims are making as she tracks them. I want to point out that her pistol that she carries in her waistband, I hope that they do change the pistol depending on what gun you have, and it's not just a character skin. I know that they will because I believe that this is a detail that they actually do in Uncharted, which is another Naughty Dog title. Now, let's get to the combat. Here you see Ely approach a baddie, but she is spotted by a little boy or girl that's surprised and not quite sure what they're seeing when they see Ely. It's dark and the young baddie could lack experience, so they sort of panicked. This created an in-line of sight meter that you can see on your screen, so it gave you special awareness. This is a third-person game, so it should be easier to have a wider perspective. I hope the screen setting on this thing will allow for super wide monitors or screen. The combat mechanics were astonishing to see in this trailer, and it didn't make you feel clunky like it did in the first one. I think the one brilliant thing that Naughty Dog does get right, next to a well-acted game, and this is their prized pony, their combat system. The slashing seems to affect the areas of the target you're hitting. That's a good sign. The AI pushed Ely back, which is a great thing, so you don't always know what to expect from each confrontation. Ellie was pushed back into another attacker that takes a swing and she dodges. Here is where it gets a little murky on the mechanics of the game. If Naughty Dog can organically introduce environment mechanics while in combat, such as this dodge and push off a car seamlessly, it would be a game changer. They would again open up another door of quality for a game setting a new bar. This is definitely achievable. It just has to come with a committed vision. Like if Ellie dodged by a wall, it would have done the exact same movement with something to push off of. I'm worried and sort of excited at the same time and hope that this is not just some shiny pitch, but a boast to a next level achievement in game mechanics. The counters and finishing is a crowning achievement by Naughty Dog, and it only seems like they're refining it here. I titled this Fluidity, and this is a mechanic that is fluid as ever. It looks like there will be a lot of different finishers while using different weapons. I love how everything on screen seems a little bit more minimal, like it's on some hardcore mode. There's not little indicators everywhere for you to lock on and go there, go here next, pick this up, or hit this. This is a game that believes in the intelligence of their player and doesn't want to hold your hand. Another detail that I completely appreciate that I've noticed is when you get shot or if a baddie strikes Ellie, she will flinch in the correct spots. Another great mechanic here is how Ellie will flinch and duck when a shot whizzes by her. Again, I hope that this is not some Disney ride trailer that you're on to show you something immersive and it not be in the final gameplay. The sound of the weapons sound very fantastic. The sound of bullets while they hit brick, concrete, dirt, metal, and glass make each round coming that's close to you loaded with consequences. Here it seems like Ellie is looking right where each thing is being triggered, which again I feel like is just meant for the presentation trailer. Yes, I put that in quotations, but I just want to give it the benefit of the doubt and say that this was an audio thing that was triggered by the player to look in that direction. The one thing that I love about The Last of Us was that you didn't have 300 rounds for your rifle, or it's not guaranteed that you're about to pick up more pistol rounds from the next baddie that you kill using your pistol. You're always kept limited to your ammunition, so each part comes with its own challenges and decisions. You can't just jump in there guns blazing and lose the element of surprise. Each encounter causes you to think, plan, make smarter decisions. The limitations brings on creativity. Think of Twitter or a haiku poem and how they limit you to text to be more creative with your stories or words. The detail of Russ on her machete, the wear of it, and the little hint of dried blood is excellent. The view that you get from under this truck and how the world is still moving forward reminds me a lot of Uncharted, and you can choose to react to it by just holding the aim button. Ellie's light movements is what really sells it for me. It makes you really feel like you're in a cutscene when you're not. This keeps you immersed in the story, the gameplay, the environment. The moments where Ellie takes aim and the baddie leans down, Ellie does something special. She pulls down the hammer of the pistol. Again, I hope that this is an in-game mechanic that is triggered because she was holding her aim for a longer period of time. A mechanic that always happens, and in this case it was just great timing. The reaction from the AI is also fantastic, and you saw it earlier from the young baddie. It seems like they actually get genuinely shocked or scared from seeing you at times. Also, it seems like you can see entry points from weapon wounds. The little pieces of brain matter here to the pink mist is brutal. It's brutal, but it's also beautiful. It looks like you can be pulled out from under anything you're hiding under if your location is compromised. This mechanic is versatile for most things Ellie can hide under possibly. The reaction to an impact of being shot and the way that the AI reacts to them is another thing to highlight in this game. I hope they mapped out every animation for each part of the body to do this. This kind of detail, down to the studs, makes for an immersive gameplay and makes any gamer drool for that kind of detail. This shootout though, this AI seems like your run-of-the-mill baddie. I think he's been the only lackluster one. This one seems a little copied and paste coding from any run-of-the-mill shooter. Seeing Ellie get hit with an arrow and then a piece of it lodge in her arm is pretty neat. That's something that she'll have to tend to later when she's not in a danger close scenario. The picking up of the bottle that was in her path is brilliant. You should be able to do these with items like rocks, bottles, and bricks. I have noticed a questionable action was the grab and then turn to the archer as the arrow goes through the baddie that Ellie is holding. I'm not saying that this would be impossible, but this just looks like a presentation more than gameplay now. I can see this being a mechanic through using your enemy as a human shield. It was just good timing maybe? Let's all hope. If our prayers are answered and this is the most organic fluid combat system to come out, then there's going to be many random moments throughout your experiences in this game. This will give each moment its own special touch, and it will extend the replay value of this game. It looks like Ellie was taking the arrow out of her arm, which was an R1 prompt by your health bar, so it's a button to remove the arrow. That's so freaking cool. The stalking here is glorious. It's like Naughty Dog at its finest. It looks like they highlighted on-the-fly crafting as well. This gives Ellie an advantage of changing her odds on the fly, again making each engagement unique. The blocking and combat again are so fluid. I love to see the blocks are exactly where the player is swinging. What I want to highlight here is Ellie being thrown through the beauty counter is a little suspect. The environment would only have to have that one trigger unless you yourself can throw people over counters. You would have to have a baddie that is capable of throwing you around at this exact moment and be able to catch you slipping to trigger this environment toss. Unless there's many objects that can be triggered by a throw. This is something we'll just have to wait and see in other previews. The big hammer smashing on the makeup display in the back wall is more justified though, because anyone can be tossed into that, or even a dodge push off can trigger the same break for debris. The size of Ellie does give her that quick advantage to hide, evade, or close gaps while in combat. I'm glad that the developers took advantage of this and made an attribute directly from the creation of the character itself. I want to point out this baddie that is getting hit and her blood goes over the counter. It hits a certain part of the counter as it was pre-programmed to do so for this presentation. I just hope that they have created such an unworldly system that everything reacts to its environment, such as drops, streaks, or splashes of blood, that Dexter would be proud of. It looks like arrows that hit targets will shatter and break in half, but the shaft and the arrow head will remain in the target. It doesn't seem like arrows can be reused at this time. Looks like each arrow will have to start where you end up hitting your target at. Maybe there's other arrows like graphite arrows, or when you strengthen your arrows, then you'll be able to reuse those arrows. This final enemy seems to be sort of like a sub-boss or a larger enforcer type. I hope they have more of these and a lot more last man standing situations for the groups that you encounter. This makes it more satisfying when you know that the person you're finishing is aware of their fate. Finishers, yes please. So there it is. The mapping, animation, pacing, voice acting will bring another story to life. And thank you, Naughty Dog, for this presentation and this new game. I know a lot of you are excited to play this game. Please give a thumbs up if you're ready to play Last of Us 2. Please leave a comment if I missed something. Please subscribe for more future reviews.
See, I told you.